All right, welcome to Destination Unknown 4x4. My name's Joel, and today I want to go and share with you what's in my camera bag 2024. In addition to that, I want to share with you the tips and tricks I learned on the month-long journey I took to Europe across 5 different countries. 3 of that was traveling in a camper van. Actually narrowing down what I wanted to take on that trip was difficult. I spent a lot of time online searching to try to figure out exactly what I needed. So hopefully I can clarify some of that for you if you're planning a trip as well. With that, let's dive in and I'll show you the camera bag I chose and some of the reasons why. This is the Wandered Provoke. And some of you may have recognized this from Instagram. It's a very popular bag. I chose it for a few different reasons. One is the weather resistance. Traveling during the fall/winter, I needed something that was going to help keep the weather out. Vinyl material, rubber covering the zippers, a flashing at the top to keep water from soaking into the bag, and it did a phenomenal job. I was out in the crazy wet weather of Scotland and I had no issues. If you're going to be out, say, a couple hours, maybe a whole day, perhaps consider throwing a cover over the bag. I have one, but I did not need to use it. The roll top. So the roll top came in phenomenal. I was able to keep a drone bag inside here. And anytime I needed aerial footage, I pull over, unroll the bag really quickly, pull out my drone bag, without disturbing the rest of the contents of my camera bag. It came in really clutch, and I even packed in clothes on top of this and sometimes food in addition to the camera drone bag, and it was just nice having that quick access. The other thing was the sizing. So I went with the 21 liter. I know there's a lot of debate online, 21 versus 31, and I know Wandered actually carries a couple different sizes as well, the 41 and the light version. I wanted something that was big enough to carry all my gear, yet would still fit under the seat of the airplane comfortably. I feel like this did a decent job. I would say, if you're going to be pushing 8 to 10 hour flights and this is at your feet, it might get a little uncomfortable. But again, you can pull some of the gear out. You could, if you're like me, you got your drone bag, you pull the drone bag out and wrap this down a little bit more and you get some more leg room. So it's not that bad. I would strongly discourage you from going for the 31 if you're planning on having this at your feet like I did. Even would consider going with the light version in the future and trying to see if that would be even better, a little bit more compact. Overall, very happy with it. The material, there has been a little bit of concern with the durability of the vinyl and scratching. While I did get a few scratches, they seem to be pretty minor and they would rub off with a cloth and leave just a really dull scratch. They wear it with a badge of honor. You want your bag to get that weathered, wabi-sabi look to it. So very, very much dig this. I will be looking forward to trying out some different bags for you guys in the future. But for now, this is my key bag. Let's first check inside the front flap of this bag. So we'll unclip these. There's a nice little pocket here. Keep quick access items. So inside, I normally keep my bike rain gloves, and oftentimes I'd wear these regardless if I was riding a bike or not. Heavy rain, these were really good in keeping your hands warm as well. I also would keep my Stederheim lightweight coat in the front of this bag. And I highly suggest this version if you're going to be throwing it in a backpack. It's It's very similar to a lightweight parka, and you hardly even notice it in the bag as far as the extra weight. And the quality and look of it is good enough that you're going to be happy with it on a trip. So I do have the standard Stederheim long coat, but for a trip, this made more sense. Generally, this pocket would just be used for rain gear. You know, you don't want to put electronics or anything in here if you're bringing out something that's mildly damp. You know, it could ruin some of the electronics. So that's primarily what I'd use that pocket for. On the side, I would keep this Peak Design tripod. And I did take the case with me. You know, I don't have to have everything super pristine, but I think with something like this, it's actually, there's a lot of mechanism that needs to be well protected inside here that can get wear. So I think it's a good idea to keep this case with you on your travels. I did go with the carbon fiber version, and you know, the weight savings was worth it. Would I purchase this again? I would say yes. You know, there are other options, but the form factor is the biggest selling point for me. Just the fact it fits really well in your hands. Yes, it does have all the dials here um, that people aren't always thrilled with, but you know, it's really easy to get used to. You just pop all these levers like this, pull it out, lock them all. I mean, I didn't have any problems with it. The other thing that was really nice about this particular tripod was the mounting system. The mounting system fits my gimbal. The the RS3 mini gimbal comes with a clip that fits right in here. So I could take, you know, from this tripod, throw it on that gimbal and vice versa, and you're good to go. Camera bag holder. So, you know, this, you know, the camera bag does get pretty heavy. So when you have this elevated in your shooting video or photos, you can hang that camera bag right from this, and it's really nice and handy. So yeah, that's my tripod choice. Here at the top, I took along some masks. You know, COVID may be over with, but you never know, in a trip you might get sick. So I kept these mainly for that. I don't want to get other people sick in case it happened to me. Luckily, I only felt down for about 1 day out of that whole month. And was I sick or just tired? I don't know. But that was the only problem I had the whole trip. So didn't have to use these, which was nice. But still recommend taking some along. So inside, I have the Rode Video Micro. And this little guy is very lightweight. It takes decent sound. And although I did have some clipping and distortion during the trip, I've brought the levels down in the camera enough that I think I have gotten rid of that. I will be experimenting with different styles of mics going forward for outdoor work. I want to try some of the wireless systems, and I also want to try the upgraded version of this, and possibly the Video Micro Go 2. So look forward to that coming up. And you know, you're always on search for the gear that you deem irreplaceable. So this one's a little bit of a hit or miss right now, but it's in my bag for now. Of course, I took along my extra battery and a charger. So you can't have enough extra batteries. I I would like to have two or three more, honestly, but this did a good job. And if you're stuck out there and you run both batteries dry, you can always connect it to a battery bank and get your camera up and going. So the other piece of kit here is the Epica multi-voltage connector. So it has, let's see, it has EU, UK, USA, and Australia voltages on here. So I was able to use this no problem at my hotel. And the only downside is the actual output. It's not a fast charger. So definitely bring along your fast charger if you get one of these, because it's going to be taking all night to charge your phone. And a couple hours, you're 5-10% with this thing. So not the best, but it does what it's intended to do. So no complaints here. It comes with a little case and some actual like fuses inside for if you actually overloaded it or they're stuck it into a poor outlet. So the other piece of kit was this Scosche charger for a car. And when you plug it in, it wirelessly charges and it grips the phone with like a little mechanism there that opens and closes automatically. This was really, really nice to have on my road trip. You could do a road trip without it, of course. This is more of like a luxury item. But I mean, when you're in a foreign country, you don't recognize what any of the words say, you're really on life support with your phone and your map system. So this was great to have. Kept it right visible next to me. So highly, highly recommend this. Of course, with that, I put one of these little like cigarette lighter chargers into one of the little smaller Peak Design cases. This I brought, it's the Peak Design shell. So it's meant to go over your camera if you have it out in the weather. It's waterproof. I didn't end up using this, so it's a bit of a kind of maybe I shouldn't have bought purchase. I think this would be better for like a photographer, but since I mainly do video, I have need of having a microphone. So although there are ports that run out a cable from the camera itself for a microphone, I just find it a bit of a hassle. So, you know, it's just one thing. I think I'm gonna test it out with some different mics. Perhaps I was considering using a wireless mic transmitter underneath. I don't know if this would hinder the signal at all. Or perhaps I could run like a cable through here and might mount the mic under the camera, under the tripod. But, honestly, probably an umbrella is going to be better than this. Again, I'd say this is mainly for a photographer that's not concerned about the actual audio. So this one I didn't use. The other thing, I have another Peak Design bag that has some extra screws, and it has these little, let's see if I can pull it out here. It's these little spiked feet for the tripod. Again, I didn't use these, so perhaps if I'm on an extreme hike coming up here, I might throw these on just to be safe. But I mean, if you're not doing anything too crazy, you don't really need these. But some Allen wrenches as well. So I also brought the Tiffin uh, filter, variable filter, 67 millimeter, and I believe it's the 2 to 9 stop. I'm not sure right off the bat, but it's the lesser version of the lighter version of the variable filter from them. This is great. If you haven't bought a variable filter, you really should consider it heavily. It's not that much more. Honestly, if you bought each stop filter, you quickly get up to the cost of one of these. If you got two or three, individual filters, and it also adds a really nice kind of like a sheen to your videos, and instead of just like manipulating the ISO, it you can just move this around and have your ISO set. So I can't recommend one of these enough. This brand's pretty good. I know some of them have the actual like a little like dial handle that you can turn, and I would love to try one of those out, but yeah, this does the job, no doubt about it. All right, cleaning cloth. So you got to bring one of these. If you can use like your sweatshirt to clean your lenses, but I think you don't want to be gambling with your money. If you're spending like $100 or more on a variable filter, use a proper cleaning cloth. That's the way to go. I also brought a lens cap along, of course. So the camera that I'm using, it's filming right now. It's the Lumix S5, and I am just using the standard kit lens, which is the 20 to 60 millimeter. So far, it's really doing everything that I need it to do. Yeah, the S5 is a little outdated at this point. You have the S5 II, the S5 IIX, I believe. We'll be looking to upgrade at some point, but for now, it's doing the job. I actually have it rigged up to a dual XLR mic system right now, and you know, it's a great camera. Studio, film. The autofocus is a little bit of the main uh, downside, I suppose. But if you're not reliant on autofocus 100% of the time, it's it's a good way to go. So it's very affordable camera in the scheme of things for full frame. All right. Also, the DJI Action 4, I brought that along and used that multiple times on the trip. I have the battery pack that has all the extra batteries. I have the extension arm that I brought along as well, and a couple different mounts, which I'll show you. So this one is the actual like suction cup mount, and it's funny because I thought that I lost it at one point. I ended up finding it buried in one of my bags, but it I was originally planning on mounting this on top of the car and getting some shots that way, but what I actually found it at, I ended up using this on was the windshield to mount the camera so I could get POV, road footage while I'm driving. Driving in these foreign countries is pretty nerve-wracking, so having an actual like road camera is a great feeling of security in case something goes wrong. You can prove one way or another in an accident situation who is at fault. So that's what I use this for. This is the mount that I have for a handlebar of a bike. It's the PGY Tech mount, and it did a decent job. There's only one problem that I'm having with it right now is it doesn't really grip these little, it's like the quick disconnect for the magnetic. I'll get the little um so here I'm actually using the Action 4 camera right now, the film, but if you connect it right here, there you go. So it's actually pretty loose when you tighten down this little pin. And they do sell like washers for the mount, but what I'm finding is this little mounting system is different than the rest of the mounts. Instead of using a screw mount or a thumb screw, it's like a little like twist lock. So it doesn't actually provide a lot of space to tighten any extra than what it's made for. So I found that when I was filming, it would get the camera would just move a little bit, and I'd keep moving it, and it was pretty frustrating. So I might just find a different. It's pretty standard like ball mount right here. I might find a different arm with a thumb screw mount to make sure this is a little bit more secure. Because I did put the washers in there, but it will not tighten down with those washers, even one of them. So it's just unfortunate. I would imagine if you had this at a certain angle, it would be okay. But yeah, other than that, it's perfect. I got some excellent footage riding around Amsterdam with this, and you can view that on my YouTube as well. So, all right. So, I believe that's everything for the main area of the camera bag itself. We will look at this really quickly here. So, this is the actual like camera portion. And when you buy this Provoke bag, you actually have to buy this separately. So it's like the Pro bundle, it's what they call it, and they have a couple different options. I went with the one that doesn't use the entirety of the bag. It's like you can get a cube that fits the whole thing or part. I wanted the part because, I'm not carrying any like giant lenses. This is, just one camera, this equipment here, and then my drone, which I'll show you here in a second. So I will say, so back to the bag. If you're looking to save some money, say you have a regular bag, you could just buy one of these and toss it in a regular bag. I mean, there, yeah, it has a little bit of extra padding in these camera bags, but I mean, it's not much different than a normal backpack. So you could throw your camera gear all in here, zip it up, and that's your kit. So that's another option if you really want to save some money. But then you got to think about other things like, the weatherproofing, the durability, you know, you might not want to just risk it. So I didn't want to, so I upgraded and I bought this, the full kit. So all right, let's dig into the upper section. All right. Here's the drone bag I was talking about. It's a very lightweight and portable package, can be used as a nice shoulder throw bag. In the front here, there's a zipper, and I just have a little lens cloth in here just for the drone specifically. Now let's open up the top. All right, so inside I have the Mini 4 Pro. And right now I am using this little cradle to keep it all together, keep the propellers safe. It's incredible how small this drone is. I mean, you can literally just throw it right in your pocket, your sweatshirt, your jacket, and this little guy will make your friends jealous. So I can't recommend enough. And with that, I have the smart controller, and this one is significantly lighter than the previous one that I have with my Mavic 2 drone. And again, with the portability, I did get a lanyard for putting around while I'm walking. And yeah, I can't recommend that enough. Definitely buy yourself some extra joysticks because I lost one during my trip. Luckily, I do have some spares, so I'll be replacing that. I did get a screen cover as well. I'm not specifically sure which one it was, just something off of Amazon. So definitely do that if you get a brand new controller. You're investing quite a significant amount of money into one of these things, so you want to be keeping it safe. Inside, I have two other batteries, and then I have one in the drone. I did go with the smaller size batteries to meet EU regulations, but I am slightly regretting it because now back in the US, it's not as big of a deal, and I didn't have any issues over in the UK or the EU for that matter. So yeah, time will tell. But you know, at $100 a piece, I might just get like one extra long range battery and keep that for my main battery going here and have these for backups. So um, I'm happy to have spares though, that's for sure. I did get a lens kit, so a whole bunch of different mini filters, and this one is the Sky Treat. Uh, they did not have the actual DJI ones out at the time I purchased this drone. So I went with something a little bit cheaper, something available. These did the job. So perhaps I'll upgrade, but I have a feeling maybe not. I mean, this might be all I really need. Except for I would like a little bit. These are pretty bland as far as like I would love to have some polarization or some mist filters or something to add a little bit of, you know, the extra pizzazz, if you will, to the aerial footage. But yeah, I'm just happy that I had some of these. I could finally set the settings, you know, not on all auto and capture, you know, a little bit better quality. Along with the Wander Provoke backpack, I also purchased their tech bag with the magnetic strap. And although I had this connected to the backpack for a while there with these little hooks, I found that it made the backpack a little bit more chunky, and having this on my person with all my valuables at all times definitely was reassuring, and this quickly became my go-to sling bag for the whole trip. And let me go through with what I packed in here. The first thing is my cell phone. So this is a Galaxy 21 FE. It's a pretty big phone. It's actually very comparable to say like an iPhone Pro Max, and it fits in the front of this little tech bag no problem. The tech bag's lined in this front pocket with a felt. So as long as you're not tossing in keys or change or something sharp, your phone's going to be perfectly fine in there. Inside this bag, I kept a few different things. So first thing is a power brick. This is just a 10,000, but I found that it was more than sufficient for just myself on this last trip. It's the IN IU, and yeah, it saved my ass so many times, from my phone to my camera, um, my wireless earbuds. This thing handled it all like a champ, so highly recommend this. Of course, I kept a couple different cables. This is a short one, and I have a longer one over there that I would keep in here as well with my fast charger, which you got to have your fast charger with you. Wireless earbuds. So these are the Samsung Galaxy Buds. I believe they're the second version. They're pretty good. The sound quality is really high, but they do get uncomfortable after a little while in my ears. So I might be looking for something a little different coming up. But yeah, I mean, these are great. Noise canceling as well. So I didn't bother actually taking earplugs with me. I just used these. Eye mask. So this came in really handy on the long flight, 8 to 10 hours. I was able to get some shut eye. So don't forget your eye mask. All right, I have a all-weather outdoor journal with a small little pen. This came in really, really handy for not the reason I anticipated, for emergencies. I had many a cell phone issue while I was there, and this came in really handy for writing down all of the information I needed to get my cell phone going and communicate with the company, along with some road, emergencies that I had. Map, sometimes the maps would drop out, internet service was sketchy. I could actually write down information on here. So this was very, very helpful. I know notepads have become a little old-fashioned, but they're anything but, in my opinion, if you use them properly. You can't go anywhere without your passport, and I would say keeping this on you as much as possible is a very good idea. Maybe not so much if you're going to be going out and like partying or something, drinking too much. You might not want to have it on you. It's better to keep it in your, the hotel, safe and sound in a lock, but, in a safe. But for the most time when I'm out and about, I would keep it on me. SIM card key, which please do not forget this. You absolutely have to have this. Yeah, you might be able to pick it up at, a cell phone provider, but you would be surprised how many times you might have to swap out a SIM. You go to a different country, your cell coverage might not work. You have to get another SIM, swap it out. It's quite the hassle, so bring your SIM key. What have I learned? What tips do I have for you? So, I would say the biggest thing and takeaway that I got from this trip was figure out what you want to film, and also figure out what time of year you're going. Because if you're going in the fall, the winter, chances are there's going to be a lot of rain. So perhaps something like a drone is not going to be as valuable as you might think. You might get a day or two, a week out of that month that's sunny. Well, if you bring this, you better use it. The other thing too with the drone, it's only so useful. If you plan on going to major cities, like say you're going to Paris, you're going to Berlin, you may not really be able to use this unless you get a permit in advance. And in that case, you may not want to bring this at all because, unless you're renting a car, you're going out of the city, this is now illegal. And yeah, you can definitely get fined and you can get it taken away from you. The weather, where you're going, city, you're going country, you're going to see certain monuments. And actually, there's certain monuments that you go to, you can't use this at all either. So be sure if you boot up a drone, check the Fly app to make sure you're legally permitted to fly this. Multiple cautions on the drone, but I will say the footage obviously you get from a drone is unlike anything you're ever going to get from the ground. So I was able to capture a good amount of footage with the drone that I was anticipating, but I also was missed out on quite a bit as well. Mont Saint Michel, you're not actually supposed to fly on the island itself, so I didn't plan in advance. I didn't get a permit. I did not want to get a fine, so I decided not to fly on the island. So that's just one example. So please definitely think about the drone, especially, if you're purchasing it for the trip. There's a lot to think about before you just go out and jump. Next piece of advice I have for you is the weight of a camera and all the equipment, the tripod and everything. This right here, DJI Action 4, was used quite a bit. And I would say that perhaps I could have just gone with this and been happy. Um, a small little gimbal, perhaps with this camera, something be very similar to like the new Pocket 3 that came out. It can really capture just about everything you want. This, being waterproof is even more of a beneficial. You're just wearing a raincoat. You don't have to worry about even an umbrella. You can just take this out and get your footage. So I can't say enough about this. Of course, it's not going to be as good as your mirrorless camera, but it's super lightweight and you bring all these different attachments. I got the little neck, POV attachment here, the bike mount, and the filters, the extra batteries, and you're good to go. So it's definitely the next step up. If all you have is your cell phone, I would highly suggest looking at one of these or like the Pocket 3 as like a really portable, carefree kind of all-in-one solution to getting your travel videos. And the last point I really want to make is less is more. Do you really need all of this gear? Probably not, unless you're a professional filmmaker or you're really serious about YouTube. You're really serious about getting the best quality for, even Instagram photographer. You're like already into the game, you know what you want, then you're probably not here looking for advice on this matter. But I'll say if you're getting started and you're planning on doing a trip, perhaps scale it down, because I can tell you right now, the weight gets a lot. And unless you rented a vehicle, you have a place to put your bag that's really safe. I couldn't imagine traveling with all this gear and like going to hostels and leaving my, bag in one of those lockers and hoping that everything's going to be safe. It's part of the reason why I decided not to go with a computer, a MacBook or anything, because are you going to be okay with it getting lost? Another little tip to check with your insurance, because if you have homeowners insurance, oftentimes they actually cover your camera equipment, believe it or not. Regardless, however you prepare for your trip, however you plan, what you decide for your camera gear, have fun. You don't want to be stressing out. You be safe, you watch your gear, don't be careless with it. You're there to have, an enjoyable experience of a lifetime. If something were to happen to your gear, you lose it, robbed or whatever, life goes on, right? All right. Thank you for your time. I will be posting shortly here a video on a month-long packing list for your clothes and necessities. So stay tuned for that. It'll be posted here. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a good one.